Welcome back to ChangED.
ChangED.
Your favorite podcast to listen to in the summer when you have nothing else going on. Or as one of our guests, when they're doing the worst humanly possible project.
Shoveling manure. They're listening to ChangED.
Put on ChangED.
Wow.
I'm your host, Andrew Kuhn, project consultant from Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. Here with me is
Patrice Semichek, also a project consultant out of the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit.
And Tony Marabito. We're going to go with podcaster today.
Ooh.
Wow. That sounds fun. Tell me about that job.
You just listen to Andrew and continue to listen to Andrew.
Occasionally interject once in a while.
Make a comment. Tell Patrice how smart she is compared to yourself. And then
Wait a minute. Was that disingenuous, Tony?
Never.
Well,
now I'm concerned.
No, never.
Now I'm concerned.
Interestingly enough, for this episode,
I was basing my whole identity off of how smart you thought I was.
That is how I was more demoralizing myself.
No, don't demoralize. You're very smart, Tony.
I appreciate that.
And you have a nice beard.
Too soon.
Interestingly enough, Tony, you queued up this session, which this is our very last episode before we start season 3.
Wait, what?
Wow.
I thought we were doing... Never mind.
I did just do the wrap up. And I said we listen to Andrew, and then we listen to Patrice, and then I throw in a comment, and we're good.
There you go. This is the fastest episode we've ever recorded. 3 minutes.
Season 2.
The shock is it was more Tony and me talking than Andrew. So
now that'll change.
Yeah. Well, now I'll have 5-minute tirade on 18 analogies.
I got to tell you,
he's just plowing through.
From my I don't care what you guys are saying at this point.
By the 3rd season, he's just giving up.
These talking mouths are here. I'm going to run a show.
You're just going to keep talking. Yeah.
Season 2 has been really interesting.
Crazy.
Because
it's been crazy.
First of all, it validated that we were actually podcasting. And as Tony said, that we were podcasters. It wasn't just 3 friends getting together and talking.
Yeah.
We started to bring on guests, and the caliber of our guests continued to expand.
And people who were actually listeners became guests, which I think is crazy.
Yeah, we met some amazing people for sure.
Yeah.
And have both years, what was amazing was that the reach of this podcast is now starting to take on its own life. So we're not just pushing ourselves. Now we're having people contact us and say, hey, we'd love to be on your podcast, or, we've been listening to you. We want to be part of this. And so that part is super validating, but also it's been amazing to watch the algorithms and see what's happening with the podcast, who's listening and why are they listening? And is it just because we dropped a new podcast, an episode that day that it spikes? Or is it, we've had people that have actually been binge listening to our podcast, and we can watch them.
God bless them.
Go through and hit all of those.
What are they doing that they need that much of us?
So one of the things that I really, really like is that there are achievements that you can earn on Buzzsprout. And
for those out there, what is Buzzsprout?
Buzzsprout is our host site where we host and all of our podcasts sit. So if you're going to listen to our podcast on the web, you're going to go to Buzzsprout. One of the ones I loved is that the episode's published. So your first episode you put out, you get a sticker, you get a little trophy. After 5, another one, 10, 25, 50, 75, and 100. Those achievements make sense, right? Mm-hmm. The next accomplishment, 250. We go from
100 to 250.
Yeah.
And that's going to take forever.
Right. That's a couple of years right there. So we've had all the achievements we can hit.
Although with Andrew, it feels like 300.
Yeah. How come that one's not highlighted? Aren't we on to the next one? Then for our downloads.
I love when Tony chimes in with his little zingers. They make me happy.
Kind of a similar.
And he keeps going.
Growth. 10, 25, 50. I'll mix it. 75, 100. Then the next one was 100 to 250 again. And then 500, 750, 1,000, 2.5 thousand, 5,000. And then the next one is 7.5 thousand. It just keeps, it grows.
7.5 thousand?
Yeah. So 7,500.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mansplain.
Yeah, that doesn't feel good. So what I'm trying to say is that.
Like, I know what 7.5 thousand is.
Aren't you the gifted liaison for the whole state?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Math's not my jam, even though I did a lot of training on it. But bro. Wow.
What I'm trying to say is that when we started, some of these numbers felt daunting and like, we'll never get to that spot. And now with the way things are happening and growing, the numbers, we get numbers on a daily basis that we didn't get for a whole month when we first started. And now it's happening daily.
Yeah, we're getting 5 people a day.
Right. The 3 of us and whoever we share it with.
Our parents.
But the growth is it's outrageous. And our locations. So if you go to locations tab and then you click on all episodes, you can see that we have been on every single continent in the world. Mainly North America, but we have the next strongest showing is actually from Europe, and then Asia, Africa, Oceania, we have some downloads, and even in South America, we have a download. So what's so amazing to me is that we are
big in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
It's got to be your family.
Yeah. What's amazing to me is that we're just 3 regular people who live in Pennsylvania and believe in the work that we're doing, and we want to be able to share it out. Yeah. And somehow these conversations are making it to all parts of the globe, and it's something that's being shared with everyone. So Tony, I want to know from you, what was your biggest takeaway or surprise, shock thing that happened within us podcasting in season 2?
So recency bias, but when we spoke to Whitehall High School that started the podcast, those are guys I've known forever. Yeah. And because of our podcast, they were like, oh, this is a good idea. Let's just make this for our own district. And then that turned into, from a regular conversation to, we're going to give teachers Act 48 hours for listening and reflecting on what we're saying. And now it's grown and they have their whole first school year worth of content, which has helped them bridge their relationships with teachers in the classroom. So just maybe a little bit of inspiration from us, maybe no inspiration at all. But the fact that they were able to come on and talk about it and kind of change some of the PD structure in their district, I thought that was awesome.
That is awesome.
What about you, Patrice?
A few things. I think it was very cool to meet a few people actually. We interviewed Sean, we interviewed Scott, we interviewed a few people who actually listen to the podcast, to hear them talk about us like they know us. Like we know them, but like, do you know what I mean? Like it was very cool to be like, oh, you actually get the reference of this, or this. Like it was kind of surreal, to your point. Like, we've been doing this for 2 years and people are actually listening. Like, people are listening, but not really. So it was kind of cool to meet people who actually got references or would say to us, hey, I really like this episode with so-and-so because you talked about this. It validates that what we're doing is actually doing something other than us just having fun.
I can't believe NSTA's whole experience was really cool. I can't believe they sent a limo for you with 2 pizzas. That was insane. Well,
that's because he needed his head to fit in a car. They couldn't just send an Uber.
And the suite that you got was incredible. So shout out NSTA.
Yeah.
Well, that was actually my biggest surprise, is that, and for our listeners who a lot of them wouldn't know because it's something that just kind of happened specifically for the National Science Teaching Association Conference, we partnered with NSTA this year, and we were the podcast for their conference. Mm-hmm. So we had this opportunity to record with them before, help them promote their conference. And then we actually recorded during the conference and met a lot of people. We were able to sit down with both of the keynote speakers and get to know them more and learn more about them and learn about their story and really stretch ourselves. So what's so fascinating to me is that we are stretching our own profession. We are learning more about our craft and what we do. And we just have the opportunity to have a microphone in front of us and we record it and we share it out. So there's the secret formula is that we love what we do and we legit love learning, and that we are sharing that with other people. Mm-hmm. And I think others are drawn to that and they want to be part of it. And so we even had this opportunity to partner with this conference that is focused solely on what our mission is for the podcast and what we're doing. So that was really amazing for me. And I think one of the other things that stuck with me for sure was the marketing part of what we're doing. And when I say that, what we name each episode actually really does matter. And it matters because, people will look at it and say, I don't know if that's it, or I don't know if that's for me, or if it's interesting. And really, I think the way that we have a conversation and the way that we record our podcast, we try to make it relevant for anyone who's listening. We want to capture that audience. We want to make sure it's for you, but the name matters, because you could be turned off to be like, yeah, that's not for me. You know, and think about, you talk about the Whitehall one. I actually probably would have named that differently now, looking back. I think we said from one thing to another. And I would almost say like revolutionizing professional learning through podcasts. And I think that would have been like just a different invitation into that conversation.
It's interesting. Yeah. To your point, like the other thing too, when you're thinking about this, is coming up with a name is sometimes difficult, because we've talked about 19 things, and how do you summarize what we're talking about in 7 words? And then the same thing with like the show notes. Mm-hmm. Like it's just crazy to think that actually takes more time than I think I anticipated originally to figure that out. Podcasting has become so popular in our backyard here in our catchment at IU21 that we've added podcast items to our lending library, because they've been asked for so many times. So we added some, thanks to Keith Royer and his relationship building with Focusrite. And we have some vocasters in there now. And I'm excited for season 3. Like we're building a studio at RIU. Oh, that's awesome. Which, anyone can come and use. But like, that's to your point, like it's becoming such a thing that like, and also we've had a few teachers say to us, we've listened to your podcast, we want to do it with our kids. Yeah. Can you come and talk to us about how to do it? It's pretty fun. Kind of crazy. Yeah. Again, I feel like I knew we had become podcasters when people start contacting us to say, what kind of equipment are you using? How can I get started? What do I need to do that? Like, that to me is like, okay, we've actually made it to a spot where we're a known entity enough that someone would trust us to come ask us those questions. Yeah. Looking ahead at season 3, which that in and of itself is crazy. Time marches on whether or not we're prepared. And then this is kind of like a marker for us of, time and each year that goes by. What are things that you're anticipating or curious about for season 3, or things that you've thought about that we should try that maybe we haven't tried before? For me, kind of like a 2-pronged question here. If we continue down the Steele's path, I'd love to get teachers in here to talk about what it looks like in their classroom, what works for them, what doesn't work for them. Yeah. So we can help other teachers continue to make this, transition into Steele's. Yep. That being said, I also want to continue to have teachers, admin on the show and promote or talk about some of the awesome things that are going on at their schools. I don't think we get enough publicity, positive publicity in our school systems. Yes. So having them come on and talk about all these amazing things and opportunities that they give kids, I think that would be a nice spotlight for some of the not so great stuff that's said in the media. I would agree. I think to your point, Tony, the idea, we've talked a lot about theory and a lot about the standards and a lot about like what could and should happen. But I think the idea of boots on the ground, coming in and talking about, I tried this strategy and it did this, or I did this, or I did that. Like, I think that would be massive for us. I think too, some of the things that I would like to see is, we talk a lot about specifically science, and I don't mind staying in the realm of science, but good teaching is good teaching. Yep. And so I would actually really like to start seeing us have some conversations around like, what does writing look like in the science classroom? What does in ELA look like? And how can we tie social studies? And not that we want to like navigate, I don't want to navigate out of the science world. I want to bring other worlds in, if that makes sense. Andrew, what about you? I want to see us continue to explore who we are as podcasters, but also be true to our audience. And we've actually started to do that in season 2. I'd say halfway through season 2, maybe even 3/4 of the way through season 2, we started to keep in some of our funny banter that we would have kept out before. And we keep our episodes shorter. We want to try to keep them to 15 minutes, and they started to push almost into 30 minutes. But a lot of that banter is who we are, and we were keeping that out. So I'd like to be able to keep some of that in. And I think that, at least I'll speak from my experience, that's what makes doing this fun, is that we enjoy being together. We can harass each other in all fun. And what's the word I say? Like, I'm giving you a hard time, but it's all in good fun. Good fun. That's what there we go. We can harass each other, but it's all in good fun. And I'd like to be able to keep that, but push the envelope so that we continue to empower educators as they listen to this, or whoever. You don't have to just be an educator to listen to this, because as you shared, Patrice, while we're focused on science, good teaching is good teaching. And I think that's why we chose the name ChangED,
because we wanted to help be part of changing education and empowering educators for whatever the future might hold. It's so exciting. This is the most exciting job on the planet. To be able to be an educator and be part of that is, to quote Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. We have
that might have been the best thing you've said on this whole podcast in 2 seasons.
What? To quote Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah. Love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, God help me.
But there's a tremendous amount of power that comes with the positions that we hold because we influence minds. And so there's a great deal of responsibility, and for us to continue growing and challenging and expanding and empowering each other, I think there's no greater thing that we can do.
Wow.
Pretty good.
I
think we close on that one.
Mic drop. Mm-hmm. You want me to push it over so you get the sound?
Do what?
Push my mic over so you hear the mic drop?
Probably not. Probably not great for equipment.
No. That's how we're ending it. There's no greater responsibility. Boom. We're so thankful that you listened to ChangED. Thank you for being
Subscribe,
amazing.
like, and fan mail us.
Was that your closing thought?
We would be remiss if we didn't also say thank you to the people who have made this possible. And that's our listeners, because if they stop listening, if we don't have people listening, then we're just talking to talk. And no one wants to hear Andrew just talk to talk.
I was going to say, you probably would just have a podcast on your own.
He would just record himself just to have it re-recorded. So, I think, too, we also have to thank our supervisors and the IUs that we work for. Like, this is actually time consuming. I don't know if anyone realizes just how time consuming it is to record something and edit it and put it out. So the fact that they believe enough in the three of us to give us time to be able to sit and do this, and in the power of what we're doing. So
supportive that they actually hop on our podcast too.
Yeah.
If they didn't believe in it, they wouldn't want to be a part of it.
Right. And promote it and push it. And like, we're very lucky to work in an organization, both of us, that empowers us to be able to do something like this, because it is out of the box in a little bit of a way.
Yeah, this is hard. It's hard in a lot of ways to measure the success of the podcast in the platform that we all traditionally work in, because butts and seats, then I can tell how many people you're reaching. But on this, we're looking at downloads, and if we have downloads in South America, well, what does that look like for our county that we are serving? How is that beneficial? So to your point, a big shout out to both Montgomery County Intermediate Unit and Carbon Lehigh Intermediate Unit for their forward thinking and their outside of the box thinking and support. That's continued, not just go ahead and get it started. We're now looking at a third season. So that's tremendous.
I also like to pose a goal of, as of today, I believe we have 7,472 downloads.
We're going to double it at least.
I would love to double it. Yeah. I think that's a good goal by this time next year. June 13th of...
I think that's low, Tony. Let's shoot for 20.
20 it is. 20K.
Yeah.
They got to have a sticker for that.
Do they have? They do they have a sticker?
I don't know. We can't.
Wait, is that 20.0K? Because my little female math brain can't figure that out. He didn't like that one. His face tells me your beard doesn't hide your face anymore.
Nope.
So I can see
no hiding anymore.
Disdain for when I talk about my femaleness. Nothing.
All right.
Wow.
What do we need to wrap this up?
Wow.
Like and subscribe. Your normal ending. Send
us some love notes on Spotify. I think you can send us love notes through Buzzsprout too, maybe. Yeah, any fan mail. If you want to be on the pod, let us know. We'd love to get some teacher input. Just when you're filling it out, if you want to be on the podcast, you got to give us your information. Yeah. Because it doesn't ask for any of that. We don't see where it came from or anything. Good point. Because we had somebody who was writing us as if they were interacting with us. And they're like, I'd love some more. Can you tell me a little bit more about this? Well, unless we're recording the podcast, we can't, because we don't have any way of contacting you unless you share that. But maybe we should elevate our communication, our way of communicating with us. I like that. Maybe that could be a goal too. I wonder if there's we have like forms we could easily put out there. We just need to figure out where to host it and how to keep it. I wonder if our podcast, if Buzzsprout gives us an email. Ooh, what? Carmen Lehigh wants to host all that. Oh, you want to host all that? Sure. Mirabito@cliu.org. Well, again, thank you for listening and your support and making ChangED what it is today and what it will become. Changed. In season 3. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and share with every person you have in your
phone contact list.
Oh, should we try to shoot for every country, not just continent?